Let's head to the Ashanti region, where most hospitals in Ghana do not have support for hearing and speech-impaired people. In most cases, there are no sign language translators on standing by to aid the hearing and speech-impaired patients in accessing healthcare. This has prevented many from visiting health facilities because they cannot effectively communicate their ailments to health professionals, and the health professionals cannot also communicate their expert directions to them. Fortunately, some students from the Computer Science Department of the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology have developed an app called Sign Talk, which seeks to solve this problem. On Tech Thursday, Love FM's Kwesi Debra speaks with the developers Dankwa Kwabena Dakumenu and Nana Ajimandua.
Sign Talk seeks to solve the problem by being a first step initiative to bring the hearing and speech impaired community back into society by bridging the deeply rooted communication gap. It does this by providing features that allow speech to sign language translation and sign language to speech translation.
Now you realize that in our society here in Ghana, there is a stigmatization of the deaf and the mute community. That's led to the isolation of these people from society in general. Now this is as a result of this communication gap that exists between this group and society in general. Mainly because the deaf and the mute community, or deaf and mute people, communicate via sign language, and then the rest of us communicate via speech. Now, most of us really don't know sign language and are not motivated to learn sign language because these people, that's the deaf and the mute, are generally isolated from society. So no one knows any deaf or mute person that they would learn the sign language and communicate with, and therefore they are not motivated to learn it at all. This is the landing page of the Sign Talk website, and then it has two main views, the doctor view and the patient view. So when you go, if you're a doctor, you select the doctor button and then it takes you to the doctor view. If you're a patient, you select the patient button and then it takes you to the patient view. So let's start with the doctor. Now the doctor taps on the doctor button and then it takes the doctor to the login page where the doctor has to sign in first before they are allowed to utilize Sign Talk. Okay. So I have an account created already, so I just tap on the login. Right. Now, Sign Talk has some of the features of, for example, video conferencing apps like Zoom embedded in it. Right. So it demands access to, or demands a device that has a camera to take the video of the person signing, or for the doctor to see the person on their computer. Right. So he has to give access to the camera of the device, so he has to allow it. Once they allow it, the camera feed is displayed on the site. Now this is the doctor view. Now the patient, on the patient page too, the patient must allow access to their computer's camera, and then they too can see a video feed of themselves, right? Okay. Now to start the translation from sign language to allow that, as part of the protocols of the app, the doctor must start a meeting first. So it's like Zoom, where there's a primary person that starts the meeting and then other people join, right? So because the doctor has signed in, he can create a meeting by tapping on the Start Meeting button. Once he does that, a meeting ID is generated for the meeting, and then it can copy that and send that to the patients for the patient piece. So we copy this button, this meeting ID. Now, if the patient wants to join the meeting, they have to enter their name and then the doctor ID. That is the meeting ID that the doctor got, right? So we will do that. Let's do an arrangement. Okay. Yes, and then they enter the doctor ID and they select Start Call, right? Okay. Now, immediately they do the start call, the doctor receives the video feed from the patient, and then the patient will receive the doctor's video feed displayed on their view as well. And then you can see that the doctor's name has been displayed here, okay? And then the patient's name too has been displayed on the doctor view. All right. Now, to demonstrate the speech to sign language, right? So if the doctor says, and there's a button for the speech, That's when you are using it in Chrome. But the other types, how are you doing? And then sends it to the patient. You see, on the patient's view, a video will be showed of what the doctor typed so that they know exactly what the doctor is saying in sign. So when I do to paint, yes, it's detected it.
Reporting for JoyNews, Kwesi Deborah.